Alright, hello everyone, it's Team Rocket Draws here with another Pokemon drawing tutorial. And for this video guys, I asked you guys what should my second tutorial be, and out of 30 votes you guys ended up choosing Skuntank from Chatot and Quillfish guys. So as you guys can see on screen, this is how he ends up looking like. So if you guys want to learn how to draw him, then let's get started. I'm also gonna put up a reference right now on screen guys, that way it's easier for you guys to draw, and at the same time you guys can do all your details. Just remember to keep your lines light guys, because we are gonna start off by doing a sketch, and then you guys are gonna finish by doing your final drawing. So to start off, we're gonna start off by doing a circle. This is basically gonna be his head, and then we're gonna split it in half both ways. Then the length of two other circles guys, we're gonna do those little dots. That's just gonna help us do the length of the actual body. So as you guys notice right there, I use my fingers, so it's basically 3 circles, the length of 3 circles right there. Each dot is 1 circle, so 2 circles plus the main head is what I'm trying to say. And once we have that guys, we can start by adding the legs. The legs are actually half the thickness of the first circle that we did. I do point that out right there for you guys. So just try to make all the legs the same thickness guys. Right here for this foot, I actually made it really awkward and really big compared to the other ones, so I do go back later and I do change it. Even right now it's a little bit too big, so like I mentioned, I do go back and I change it a little bit. And then right there I do this reference line just so I can show you guys that the middle leg right there is actually lower than the other two. Once we have that guys, I erase that line, and now we can just continue by doing the tail. So I do that reference line going on top of the body just to give you guys an idea of how high the point is of the tail. And once we have that, we can actually connect the actual line to the back of them. And once we have that, we could actually do the same thing on his forehead, and we're able to do this shape right here for the nose as well as the eye. So that's why we do those cross the line going across the circle, just so it could help us do certain details like this. For example, this circle for the cheek. Once we have that guys, we could add the little tooth, little triangle shape, and now we could actually start on one of his ears, or his only ear I guess that we're able to see. Now the inner ear. Once we have that guys, we're gonna start off by doing the other side of the eye right there. We're barely able to see it, and then we could actually do the shape of the other cheek and just connect the bottom of the jaw. Once we have that, we could actually do the whiskers. Right here I'm pointing out that the whiskers are roughly the same length as half of the circle, and he has 3 whiskers. Alright, so once we have that guys, we can start by doing the claws on his foot. And another thing that I wanted to mention is that just try to keep all the claws the same size guys, roughly on all of his feet. The same size, same thickness, since they are basically roughly the same. Right here I started by adding some of the detail on his body. I just connect right there, erase some of these reference lines that we did earlier, because we don't need them any longer. And right there, just remember to curve the bottom of his body a little bit. Right there I made it a little bit too straight, so just curve it a little bit. Once we have that, we could add some of the details on his body as well as his foot or his leg. We could do the claws right here. There we go. Alright, so we're basically done with the bottom. Right there I just make his foot a little bit skinnier. Like I mentioned before, I was gonna do that. And then for the hind leg, the other one, the 4th leg that we're not able to see, we could actually just see one of the claws sticking out behind that middle leg. So that's why I added right there. And once we have that guys, we could just start adding some of these spikes that come out. Right there I just point out that it's right on top of his whiskers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 that connects to the bottom right there. And then once we have that guys, we can start adding some of the small details. For example, this line right here, which is not an actual line, but if you guys are doing a pencil drawing, then you kind of need it. So now we could do these lines right here to actually connect to the back to do the pattern on his tail. the same as right here. And these patterns, guys, you guys don't have to get them exactly the same as I have it, or as the same as the reference. As long as it looks good in your drawing, then go ahead. Now we could erase some of these reference lines that we did earlier. And right here I'm just working on the actual shape a little bit, just to make it a little bit better. Because you guys got to remember that this is a sketch, guys. So from here, it's going to be your drawing. And any changes that you might do to your drawing to make it better that the reference or my drawing doesn't have, then go ahead. You know, it's your drawing. So just make it any way that you guys want, any little changes that you need. For example, right here I didn't like the shape of the tail right there, and then I made it too straight, so I had to erase it again. Once we have our final sketch the way we have it here, guys, it's really easy to notice anything that we don't like. For example, right there, the tail for me, maybe you did the eye a little bit weird, or maybe the whiskers, maybe the feet don't look good, or maybe the tail's a little bit off, or just something looks odd. Now's the time to change it, because it's really easy to notice any little mistake. So for example, one of the things that I do change later on for my final drawing is the feet a little bit. I think I work on the feet a little bit more, on the claws, and then also on the little pattern on the tails. I just work on it a little bit, the actual shape of the tail, just try to make it smooth and everything. But overall, guys, I'm actually really happy how the way that it turned out. And then here is my final outline. I did outline it in a micron pen, and then I'm just using my watercolor pencils to actually color him for now. So you guys could use this right here just to know what lines to erase from your sketch if you guys are planning to outline it, or just basically finish it off. You guys could use my outline right there as a reference, or you guys could just use the reference on your top left corner of the screen. So for the watercolors, guys, I'm not big, like I'm not really familiar with them. I'm just starting off using watercolor pencils and and color pencils, but the way that I'm doing it here is I'm layering a basic color to them, right? And then I'm adding a darker one for the shadows and stuff like that. So for the purple, I used like a light purple, then a darker purple, and then for the cream color, the closest thing that I had was this really light orange. And once I had that, I go into the actual color with the watercolor brush, right? So once I have the colors that I want, I just go over it with the watercolor, and you guys can notice that it starts kind of like standing out a little bit more. So I'm really having fun with these guys. Like I mentioned, I'm just starting off using them. I've only have like probably a few drawings that I've done this way, and so far, guys, I'm starting to like them. There's a lot I still need to learn, but I'm having fun with them. And yeah, it's something that you guys will probably see a lot from me in most of my tutorials. So right there, I do the same thing with the orange on his eye and nose. Once I have that right, guys, I go back and I try to blend it a little bit more with the water, and I wait for it to dry. And then what I do is that I go back and then I use my color pencils, my regular color pencils, just to add a little bit more color to it, and it also adds a little bit more of a gradient kind of look, so it kind of adds like a little texture to the actual drawing, which I think is really cool. So I use the watercolors just to make like the base color, and then the color pencils to do the shading, in other words. So I'm using kind of like this violet purple in order to get this like warm color to it, and then I use this purple, really dark purple that you guys saw me using there for like the cooler dark shadow areas. And then I obviously go a little bit darker on the shadows. I press a little bit harder on the color pencil than I do as I fade it out. The same thing right here. I'm using like this brown and this gold color to add a little bit more texture and shadow to the actual areas. And then I go back and I press on it a little bit harder, and then right here I'm just using a really dark cold brown in order to do the darkest shadows, because I like adding dark colors, guys. I like my drawings having this like dark shadow to it, and that's why you guys see me adding more and more darker colors and pressing a little bit more, and then in the end I actually go back and I use a black. There we go. And like I mentioned before, I do go back with the black and then just make it a little bit more of a contrast, add a little bit more shadow, and to me it just makes a world of a difference, guys. It's something that I like to do. I always like to add a darker shadow to everything. It just adds a little bit more dimension, in my opinion. So everything just sounds a little bit better. One of the things that I do regret about doing this drawing, guys, is that I ended up outlining the actual drawing in a black pen, basically. And that's one of those things that, I don't know, guys, it just doesn't look good, especially using color pencils, because other ones that I've done the same way, using the same technique with the watercolors and then with the color pencils, I use just regular pencil and everything just looks a lot better. But I think the contrast between the pencils and then the dark, like sharp black outline, it just doesn't, like, it doesn't fit, guys. It might look okay, but if I would have done it in pencil, it would have looked a million times better. And it's one of those things that I forgot of doing. Like, for some reason I just decided to do the outline and I didn't really think about it. But overall, guys, I'm happy with it. Like I mentioned before, other than just doing the outline in pen, I have a few minor like things I would have changed. Maybe I would have worked on the whiskers a little bit and the face as well. But overall, guys, I'm really happy with the coloring. I'm happy with it. Like I mentioned, I'm learning, so it's something that you guys are gonna notice me progressing on. But overall, guys, I'm really happy with it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like, guys, and subscribe for more videos, and I guess I'll just catch you guys on the next one. Team Rocket Draws out.